Hi guys, this is Olga from Ukraine, and in this video I'm gonna tell you how is the life nowadays in Ukraine. First, let me briefly recount how I arrived to Ukraine. I don't believe many foreigners would take the same road, as it was quite extreme. I drove from UK to Ukraine by car. Typically people opt for a combination of airplane plus bus or airplane plus train. Regardless, I embarked on an overnight ferry to the Netherlands. Then it took me 3 days to reach my destination, Khmelnytsky, which is in western Ukraine. Polish farmers often block their borders, causing lengthy delays for buses and passengers, and all kind of mess is around, so sometimes people wait 16 hours and 20 hours on the border. So I chose the smallest border point near the mountains, and it turned out to be successful. There were no cars and I crossed the border in just 20 minutes. And now, after a week of staying in Ukraine, let me share my thoughts and show you some videos. Okay, let us start from the question: is it safe to travel to Ukraine? To answer this question, I want to show you the map of Ukraine, and I will compare the size of Ukraine to the European countries and to United States. So from wherever you are watching me, you will be able somehow to understand the scale. Now let's look at the map more close. This area, that's the area where the currently war is happening and which are occupied territories. Then the next territories to these territories which has artillery shelling. They are not occupied, but the artillery shelling them very often, and staying there, as per my opinion, is really dangerous, because sometimes you can be the target of a sniper, even not just of artillery shelling. Then the rest part of Ukraine are just suffering from the rockets attacks. So you can be warned about that, you can go to the shelter, you can hide, and this is relatively can be safe. For sure, not always you can be notified about rocket attacks, because sometimes they took short time to reach, couple of minutes, especially if you are talking about Kharkiv area or Odessa, but still the risk of being killed there is less than living exactly next to the front line. Now let me tell you about western part of Ukraine. So now I'm in a city called Khmelnytsky. It's somehow western Ukraine. This is the city where I am from originally. Even later I used to live in Kiev. And this city is relatively safe. It doesn't have very often rocket attacks, even though last week exactly there were a rocket attack and there were 2 people killed, the house is destroyed and many injured, but the rocket hit the house at all, the civilian house. But relatively you can say it is somehow safe, because rocket attacks here are not such often like maybe in eastern part of Ukraine. Now let's address the question: do you feel that there is a war in Ukraine? If you arrive as a tourist with expectation that all businesses are closed, nothing is open, and finding a food shop is a challenge, then yes, you may be shocked by how vibrant life is in Ukraine even during the war. This is because the situation is not as extremely dire in many parts of Ukraine. However, if you have something to compare it to, if you talk to the people, you will see a different picture. Firstly, almost every citizen has someone engaged in fighting. They worry about their loved ones and follow all updates to ensure they're still alive at all. Right now on the picture you can see all people who died fighting in this war only from our city. And this is terrifying, because looking at that, how you can say that people on the western part of Ukraine or anywhere else does not feel that there is a war, if all of these people had their wives, their kids and their loved ones, and imagine how much pain they feel out of losing these people, and they're all from our city. Secondly, you may notice burned cards on the streets. This is how volunteers attract attention to people urging continuing donations to support the brigades and provide assistance in all way possible, because it's crucially needed. Also, you may encounter women making makeshift blankets for the soldiers on the front line. And thirdly, those who are not actively involved in fighting are fearful of being conscripted into the front line. Women venture out without men, and men attempt to avoid risky areas and move quickly if necessary. Many women live in constant fear that their husbands will be forcibly taken while commuting from work, regardless of their health conditions. The good thing which I noticed that there used to be much more checkpoints when I came 2 years back, and I was driving all over the bay. There were checkpoints to every village entrance. It was closed and it was having concrete blocks and all these kind of things. Nowadays it is all aside and you have checkpoints, but it is much less, and you don't feel that the war is just right there. So it's somehow easier to see that it is somehow more relaxing, let's say like that, because on that time it was very militarized when I were in Ukraine, when I were driving 2 years back. But at the same time, you still feel that the war is there. Another good thing which I would like to admit, it is really how much businesses are working and what people do around and how alive is the city in general. One of the nice things to see here in the city, that almost all shops, restaurants, places which I used to go before war, they still remain there, nothing closed, maybe some of them, but it's totally not like when I came to Europe since the war started. We find that half empty malls in Poland, then in Cambridge in UK, and they were saying that pandemic hit them hard and so many businesses close and go out of out of business, and you can notice it because there's so many empty spaces. So in Ukraine, pandemic didn't really hit hard, such like what we see. Plus, also you can see that the war didn't hit hard all our business. So for sure something close, for sure someone get out of market because of war or because of economical reasons or anything else. But overall, in general, you can see the shops full, all the same places remain, the one that I used to see before, and they're all doing great. Another thing is that many new shops opened, many new buildings finished, many new buildings appear which wasn't planned even 2 years back. So the things is moving and you can notice it. It's not like you don't feel that there is a recession, for example. Even economically it's hard, the prices go so much up, but at the same time you see the city alive and the business is there. So that's the good point somehow. For example, this hot dog place, they were here since, I don't know, I was in university maybe, so about 15 years back, and they still remain here, and you know, people are still waiting on the queue. And I cannot say it's by any means the best hot dogs in the city or something like that. It's not known by anything, but it is just here and it works, and it's one of the examples. Same like all these kind of things. I see there is queue staying to that guy also to jump on this kind of big trampoline. So the things is moving. So in conclusion, I want to say that Ukraine is fighting economically and in military way, and people are affected, people are for sure feeling all that. They're a bit tired, but they have a hope that the victory will come soon and they will have their best life as it used to be before war.